Great. We'll go ahead and get started. As more people log in, they'll be allowed into our room. I'd like to welcome you all. I'm Sandra Stevenson. I'm a governor on the Overseas Press Club and Deputy Director of Photography at the Washington Post. First, before I even launch into the welcome, I have to thank our Executive Director, Patricia Krantz, and Chad Bouchard for helping organize this session. The OPC and the International Women's Media Foundation are delighted today to offer this psychological training for women, non-binary journalists, and allies. The training is supported by the Committee to Protect Journalists, the Rory Peck Trust, ACOS, all organizations committed to providing programs and services to bolster the mental health and security of working journalists. Our presenter today is Ana Zellhuber, a psychoanalyst and emergency psychology specialist based in Mexico City. She will include a slide presentation and offer a guided and interactive exercise with ample time for questions and discussion. In 2005, Zellhuber founded Vinland Solutions to provide psychological support to women journalists, human rights defenders, and women in politics who have been a target of persecution or violence due to their gender or profession. Please note that the program is being recorded, and the OPC will publish a recap and some video clips later. But to encourage a frank conversation on Zoom, we will publish or post Ana's comments only. We will not post any comments made by any of you who are participating, because we really want to make sure that you feel free and comfortable and understand it's a safe space to share your experiences. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Ana. Thank you so much and welcome.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for having me. Thank you for all of you at OPC for this invitation, because it's really meaningful for me to being able to share this with a lot of people that are basically living many times abuse and harassment because of being good journalists. And that's the reason why you are being targeted. If any of you are being targeted, may you know that it's because you're doing a good job. So it's a pleasure for me to be here. And Chad, can we start the slides? I'm going to start sharing my screen now. Okay. Okay. Can everybody see it? All right. Yes. Okay. Mental health requires certain things. It's easy to let go. It's easy to just be on the way and let life drive you wherever it wants. It's easy because you don't have to make any effort. So it's easy not to care for you, not to take care of you. It's easy, but the cost of it at the end of the day is going to be hard. Because if you don't consciously, willingly take care of yourself, okay, the problem is going to be that at the end of the day, you're going to end up not feeling well and not giving to the world what you really want to give. For mental health to be, you need to make an effort. You have to have discipline, and you have to love yourself. And I know that for some of you, this is like, of course, I do it. Yes. But for some of you, it's like, no, others are first. I need to take care of others, not of me. But an empty glass cannot give you water. And if you do not take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to give to others something of value. Okay? Psychological safety, that is our topic today, it's the same thing. It needs consciousness, it needs will, it needs discipline, and it needs that we love ourselves. So it's the same thing. Okay? I would like to start by inviting you to make a little exercise of finding out Where are you standing right now? Are you having any psycho-emotional problems? Are you having any things? But first, I'm sorry, this is not where I wanted to go. Hold a second. Hold. It's just that, yeah, here we are. It's important for us to find out, where are we? Where's our mental health? Where is the part of us that is, I'm sorry, it's just that with the presentation, it's hard to, let me, okay. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. So sorry. Wait. Okay, here we are now. It's important for us to know, where are we? Are we in a very calm, yeah, sometimes stress, but nothing major. It's the stress of the everyday work when we have a deadline and we have to make a piece of, to write something or to go photograph something or to edit anything? Or is it going beyond? Are you always stressed, for example? Are you always having anxiety? Are you always having some sort of problems inside that are making you anxious all the time, not sleeping well, that are making you feel even physically sick, with pain in the neck, pain in the head, stomach problems? Where are you right now? So I would like you to read this. And I would like you to make notice of this very fast assessment. The first part, it's not really going to be happening right now, but that's the stage in which you enter. For example, when you receive the first attack online, or a first threat somewhere, or when you are in a manifestation and suddenly people start shooting or people start doing something. That's a psychological emergency. So I don't think right now any of you is in that stage, but anyway, when you enter that stage, you're going to be in shock, unable to think about anything else but what can save your life. Your sense of time is going to be different. It's like be like in slow motion. You're going to feel disconnected, that what's happening. You're going to struggle to make sense of what's happening in that moment. You're going to try to figure out how the situation is going to impact your life. Am I going to be safe? Am I going to be detained? Am I going to be, what's going to happen to me? And you keep thinking of ways to end the situation. How can I run? How can I put myself in a safe place, in a safe situation? Or how can I stop the harassment online? Or how can I stop, I don't know, the politicians attacking me, or the organized crime group attacking me? Because these are the most common things that journalists lives, okay? Anxiety. Now, I want you to, I'm going to be reading them, and for each one of those that you have, please put a number. And if you have 3 of them, you are suffering from generalized anxiety, and take notice of that, okay? Are you, you are unable to keep calm. You're always like anxious. You're always like running from one side to the other. You have to be moving all the time. You constantly fidget. I've heard this many times. No. If I rest, that's a waste of time. I need to be doing something productive. You feel restless. Like there's always something that you're missing. Like there's always something that you're not doing and you should be remembering to do. There are things that are piling up, and even if they aren't, you feel dizzy sometimes, like, oh, what's going on? So suddenly I felt dizzy. This, by the way, is because you are hyperventilating. You have an upset stomach. You have acid reflux. Your heart beats faster than normal. Your neck and back hurt. You can't focus. Okay, hold. Yeah, let me move this, because if not, I'm not going to be able to read. Okay, next is acute stress. Once the stress hasn't been solved, stress comes from the preparation of the body to do things. For example, if I have to deliver something and I have a deadline, I'm going to become stressed. And that's going to allow me to focus. It's going to allow me to move fast. But once I deliver, the stress should go down. If it doesn't, if it continues, then a lot of things happen in our body. If it even gets inflamed, it hurts physically, emotionally, what we are and what we are doing. All the systems in ourselves get hurt by the acute stress. So if you have, again, 3 of these, you're having acute stress. General anxiety, the anxiety we talked about before, panic attacks, headache, stomach and muscle ache. You can't sleep, either you cannot go to sleep or you are asleep and you wake up in the middle of the night. Eating disorders, eating too much or eating too little, difficulty focusing, difficulty making decisions, irritability, like, oh, don't talk to me. I don't want to know anything about anybody. You're prompt to answer, like, shut up, like, I don't want to hear you. Mistrust of others, mistrust of yourselves, of oneself, sadness or anger. So if you get 3 of these, most likely, you are presenting acute stress, okay? Those of you who had lived a traumatic event by covering the news or in your own personal lives, you are going to have the symptoms of acute stress plus relieving the trauma and avoidance. And relieving is not remembering. Relieving is becoming as anxious as you were back then. Relieving is really feeling again anxious, feeling a threat, feeling the fear again. And avoidance is, I don't want to pass through that street because that's where the shooting happened, you know? So I want to avoid everything that contacts me with the traumatic event. If you have those symptoms, relieving and avoidance, I would strongly suggest you get in touch with OPC so that they can guide you to access funds to have therapy. Because post-traumatic stress disorder is not something that is just gonna pass. You need specialized treatment. You need the help of someone who's trained for post-traumatic stress disorder therapy. And you need to do it. It's very simple. It's 9 to 20 sessions at most. You are not going to mostly talk about your past. The therapy is focused on your here and now, the trauma itself. And very fast, I would say at the 3rd session, you're going to see the results. So if you're having any of those, please seek for help. Because otherwise, post-traumatic stress is like a fungus on the brain. You're going to start doubting yourself, because post-traumatic stress is mostly about doubting oneself. You're going to start doubting yourself more and more and more and more, and it's going to impact all the areas in your life. Talking about depression, again, if you have 3 of these, you might be having depression. And I say might because this is just a fast assessment, okay? This is not a definite one. If you are listlessness, indifferent to everything, oh, I don't care about anything. It gives me the same if I go out or not go out. It's like, okay, I don't feel pleasure about anything. So it's an anhedonia, inability to feel the pleasure. You wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep. You feel angry all the time and you don't know why. You don't feel like doing anything. You rather stay in your bed. You would rather sleep all day. You stop paying attention to your hygiene a little bit or a lot. You don't want to see other people and you don't want to go out. If that's the case, then most likely you're having depression. Okay, so I'm not going to ask you to share. Okay, I'm not going to ask you to share this. Sorry, again. For some reason, okay, there we are. I'm not going to ask you to share this. It's just for you to know where you are standing, what's happening to you, if something is happening to you, and so that you can take action from there, okay? And it's important for you to know that just by going interviewing or taking pictures of a traumatic event of others, you become a secondary victim of that event. And if it piles up, if you work a lot, eventually that's gonna be a problem, because you're gonna present one of these that I will talk about, okay? So let's now relax a bit after this assessment. Maybe you thought of things and said, oh, okay, yes, I'm in one of those. Yes, I am not relaxed enough. I need to learn how to relax. I need to learn how to get the stress out of sight. And in that situation, there are certain exercises that can help. You can go to IWMF's guide that me and my business partner, along with the whole team of IWMF, did. And it's going to show you some exercises for that. But we're going to start with the basic one. And this exercise, most people say, oh, this is not going to work. It's too easy. But the truth is that there have been a lot of studies from neurologists, cardiologists, endocrinologists. The most recent ones are the gastroenterologists that have found that diaphragmatic breathing helps with gastritis. If you do it 3 times a day, you're going to be helping your body fight back the gastritis. You're going to be helping your body be more focused, your mind to be more focused, to be, sorry, something is in my eye, to be more focused, to be more relaxed and with the necessary attention to do things. You're also, your endocrinal system is going to work better. So you're going to be with less problems in the sexual or hormones. You're going to be more likely to not have thyroid problems and things like that. Okay, so don't discharge it because it's so easy. This exercise is our basic one, because all the others are, you start with this one and then you follow the other exercises that are presented in the guide. But it's always like that. Meditation starts with the breathing. Everything that relaxes us starts with breathing. We need to oxygenate our brains properly, okay? For all our body to work properly. And it's an exercise that we love using, because you can do it standing, walking, if you're alone, if you're with people, in any situation, you can do it. In a stressful situation, in a dangerous situation, you can take one breath. In a very dangerous situation, you take one breath, and that's going to help you make the decisions that can save your life. If you're in a stressful situation, you take the 3 breaths that it's going to take you a minute, literally from 45 seconds to a minute, and you're going to be able to make the right decisions to lower the stress and to make the situation better for you, with a better outcome for you. So the exercise consists of 3 breathings, three rolls of breathings. Each breathing, it starts with inhaling, but I'm going to give you more details. Don't start now. It starts with inhaling slowly through your nose, but inflating your stomach first and then your chest. And it's going to be in a count of 3. 1, 2, 3 for inhaling. Then you're going to hold your breath, again counting 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to exhale again through your nose, stomach first, chest second, in a count of 3. So it's 3 rounds of 3, 3, 3. Okay? So I would like you to put yourselves comfortable and put one hand in your chest and another hand in your belly, and just do one breathing, normal breathing, without holding, without anything, in which you inflate your stomach first and then your chest. Maybe some of you breathe normally like that. Maybe some of you are breathing only from the chest. The more stressed you are, the more you are only breathing through your chest. And that is provoking even more stress because there's not getting enough oxygen to your brain and to your blood. So whenever you can, remember your body to breathe properly, to inflate the stomach first and then the chest, and to exhale in the same manner. Teach your body to breathe properly. And if you feel that you're being stressed and you're breathing through your chest, again, breathe in a proper way, stomach first, chest second, okay? I would suggest that you try this breathing 3 times a day for 1 week. We're gonna do it now, and you're gonna feel a little bit more relaxed. But if you do it daily, 3 times a day, the benefits of it are gonna be piling up. And at the end of the week, you're really gonna feel the benefits of this breathing exercise, the true benefits that it can bring you in life. And it's 3 minutes a day, just 3 minutes a day. Okay, so now everybody please get comfortable. One hand in your chest, the second hand in your stomach. Close your eyes. I'm gonna be counting, but do it at your rhythm. And we're gonna start. Inhale slowly through your nose, stomach first, chest second, counting to 3. Hold your breath, 2, 3. Exhale, stomach first, chest second, through your nose in a count of 3, 2. Repeat again. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold your breath, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, stomach first, chest second, 2, 3. One last time. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Did you feel a little bit more comfortable? Hold a second. I need to see you. So let me put this so that I can see some faces. Okay. Okay. So do you feel a little bit more relaxed with this? I hope you do. Do you feel any changes in the temperature of your hands and feet? A little bit warmer? Do you feel, for example, like there's more light in the room? That's also very similar. Or tingling in your hands or your feet? Because the blood is now more oxygenated and it's going through. Okay? I hope this relaxed you a bit, and now we can continue with the presentation. Do you consider that journalism has placed you or is going to place you at risk at any point? Have you ever been in a risky situation? Most of you, I bet you have, okay? And if not, you might encounter a situation that is risky at some point. Because for many of you, even those who are editing, okay? You think, oh, I'm editing. I'm in the office. There's no risk for me. But you don't know how many editors I've read, I've worked with, and I've read in the chats where I give workshops, and editors with whom I work. I cannot tell you which medias because it's confidential, but that they have told me that they have opened a picture and it was so gruesome, so impacting, that they felt like their stomachs jumped. And that was a risk to their mental health, to their emotional stability. So not because you are in an office, you are not becoming secondary victims. If you're in the field, the risk can get to physical, yes, so it's a greater risk. But the emotional risk is for everybody who is in the journalist business, because you are exposed to news, to listening, to seeing things that then you kind of select to not present to the public in general, to not victimize them. You don't put all of the pictures in the media because you know that the impact can be very big for the public in general, but you do have to go through them. So you're becoming secondary victims because of this, okay? I'm sorry, I keep jumping from one place to the other. It's just, okay. I want you to think of what kind of risk or abuse had you faced? Which kind of risk or abuse you think you might find? Have you practiced risk assessment to keep you safe or never? Or you have a general idea and you just implemented it automatically because you already know all the steps and what you should do and how to keep you safe? Have you ever made a safety personal plan for going to cover certain news that are more risky than others and you know that you need to make a safety plan? Have you ever followed a safety plan? If you have, congratulations. That means, for a psychologist, that means that you think, I am a good human being. I work hard. I'm entitled to balance in my life. I deserve to take care of myself. I am a strong person because I take care of myself. I am my responsibility and I know it. Nobody's gonna protect me. I need to protect myself. And finally, it tells me that you love yourselves. If you don't do it, and believe me, for me, this is not shocking. I have found this in many, 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 many journalists, many. And if you are non-binary, if you belong to a non-binary community, and if you are a woman, unfortunately, you have another reason for this to happen because society, family members have told you so many times, you're not worth it. You do not deserve this. And sometimes I've heard, I don't have the time to take care of myself. But what's behind it is that you don't believe you're worth it. You don't believe you deserve it. You believe that you have to give a lot to the world to be deserving. You think that you have to give a lot to the world to be worth it. Everybody is more important than me. I don't need to protect me. I'm strong, but that's not being strong. That's being tough. And tough can be break with the right amount of pressure. I'm not weak. Taking care of ourselves is not weakness, it's strength. As I said in the beginning, mental health takes strength, takes will, takes consciousness, takes discipline. Who cares? Nobody loves me anyway. And this mostly has to do many times with the upbringing. Many times it has to do with difficult upbringings, with difficult family situations. And I'm not saying that your parents are bad parents. I'm just saying that there are, for example, I live in Mexico. And in Latin communities in general, I've seen this also in Indian communities and in Africa, especially again, when it comes to women and non-binary. I've seen that there's not enough understanding and there's not enough respect to our genders. And I've seen that it's really hard for all of us to overcome that kind of upbringings because you feel that just because of your gender, you are not worth it because you're being rejected by it, because you're being telling, for example, in the Latin communities, it's very common for the mothers to say to their daughters, put the plates in the table for your brothers and your father, as if we need to serve men, as if we were there just as accessories for them. They are the important ones, we aren't. And this kind of thinking, even if we think about it and we overcome it in a certain ways, many times stay with us. Many times stay with us. So that's why we don't take care of ourselves enough. We do not help ourselves as much okay? But in the case of men, funny enough, I've seen that too, okay? I've seen that. So we're not going to the, again, hold. We are now jumping to the risk assessment, okay? And I hope that thinking about how important it is for you to take care of yourselves, you can now start thinking about making a risk assessment of a note that you're going to cover, whether you're going to interview or you're going to photograph. Or even if someone sends you a note and you're editing, and you know the kind of work that person does, for example, especially with photography, be prepared for it. Be prepared sometimes to have some gruesome images at you, okay? In this case, we're gonna focus on, this is for the online abuse, and it's to somehow make the difference between trollings and real risk, real people who's really dangerous. Trollers, they just want notoriety. They're jealous of you, and they just want to conflict you in writing things against you, because they want to jump into your box of success, into your box of notoriety. But there are others that can threaten you, okay? So, for example, to make the difference between an online abuse, between a troller and someone that really presents a physical threat to you. And the troller can be very devastating because it's psychological violence anyhow, okay? But just to make sure that your life is not a threat, you need to make some questions into your mind. Are they attacking your gender, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, your profession, or socioeconomical level? If yes, is this person part of the extremist group? Does this person seem highly educated? Does the abuse contain sexual threats? Does the abuse contain comments about your gender and ethnicity or sexual orientation? For every yes, there's a point, okay? Are they frequently sending violent messages? In general, trolls are going to be sending a lot of messages, a lot of them, because what they want is notoriety. And that they're going to do it especially during the weekends at the night, because they are already drunk or have some drug on them, okay? While real threats for your physical security are going to be more specific and are going to be, they're not going to talk much. They're going to warn once or twice. Is the online abuser threatening to do something, or are they directly threatening your life? If so, how much this person knows about you? For example, do they have specific information about your location, about your home address? Does the abuser have information about your family, photos or contact details? Do they have an idea of your daily routine, when you work or when you go shopping? And if so, make sure that this information is not online, that you didn't post it online. If you post it online, they are using what they could find about you. But if there's something there that you never posted online, then the threat to your life is higher, okay? In the case of trolling, if you see that they are looking for attention, you give 1 point to trolling. If the attacker discloses personal information about you that is found in your publication, 1 point for trolling. There are non-specific threats, 1 point for trolling. If they are attacking your gender, your race, your ethnicity, your sexual identity, or your profession, then it's 2 points for targeted online abuse, which is more risky. If the frequency of the message is very frequent, is 1 point for trolling. If it's not, then it's 2 points for targeted online abuse. Specific attacks against you, attacker disclosed personal information, 3 points. Specific threats, 3 points. The higher the score, the more you are going to be in a real danger, okay? So I hope this helps you see in general how much of a threat you're having, all right? And wait a second, because for some reason this went elsewhere. Okay, I think my presentation stopped. Chat, did my presentation stop? Because I cannot see things clearly now.
Your presentation has stopped, and we see you
Okay.
now on the screen, your face.
Okay. I don't know why that happened. Let me go back to present. Thank you very much. So the more points, the more risk you are. And you can do this with every situation, okay? With every threat that you receive, you can do this as assessment. If you have a great risk, again, contact IWMF, contact OPC, so that they can help you dealing with this situation and put you in a safe circumstance. I want you to think of the most risk and or moving situation you've ever been as a journalist. A note that really moved you, that it was hard to shake it off, or that it was really risky for you. And I want you to think, what have you done differently in that situation? Let me explain why I'm saying this. A trauma is not the situation that you live itself. It's the encounter of that risky situation, of it's a situation that puts your integrity at risk, with the assessment that you do, that you did it wrong, that you didn't answer properly to that situation, that you didn't know how to put yourself in a safe place. And a very simple example that doesn't have to do with journalists, but that is very easy to see, an earthquake, okay? If in Mexico City, there are earthquakes almost every day, little ones and big ones, almost every once a year, okay? Huge ones, funny enough, and thank you enough, it's like every 12 years, but still there are big ones every year, okay? If you know what to do, you're gonna move. Once you hear the alarm, you're gonna move, you're gonna get out, and you're gonna be safe. And it's not gonna be traumatic. But if you don't know what to do, I once had a friend from Minneapolis that came to visit me, and he was staying in the hotel, and it was in the 85. It was a long time ago. I'm an old person, I'm 62. And he was in the hotel. He was traumatized by it because it was the huge earthquake that made half of Mexico City fall down, okay? And he was traumatized because he didn't know what to do about it. It was the first time in his life that he has ever lived an earthquake. And he was telling me, I was watching the news and I was saying, no, that this didn't happen here. This didn't happen to me. So he presented a trauma because he didn't know what to do. So when I ask, what have you done differently? I want you to think what you did wrong. And I say wrong with quotes because it's not that you did it wrong. It's that you didn't know how to manage it mostly, okay? Or you didn't do anything wrong. Simply you assess that you did. For example, I had a journalist that was kidnapped with his whole team, and they were kidnapped with another team also, two teams from two different TVs in my country, and they were kidnapped. And he was the one in charge to deal with the organized crime people who had them, and to make the negotiations to let them free. And he was so successful that the mobsters told him, oh, Güerito, you should come live with us because you're so nice. You should come work with us. We really like you. So he was very successful, and they were freed, all of them intact, without being hurt. So what he did wrong? Nothing. But he had this huge post-traumatic stress disorder. And one day we were in therapy and he was telling me things, and then he suddenly stopped, punched the chair he was at, and said, I felt fear. I am not myself anymore. That's what he thought he did wrong. I had never ever felt fear before. And now I don't know who I am. Okay, so for anybody, that wasn't wrong, right? He was obviously, he did everything right. And he was obviously going to feel fear for him and for others. There was no way he couldn't feel fear. But for him, that's what he did wrong. So I want you to take the time and think, what have you done differently? What did you do wrong at that time if you did wrong, something that you assess it was not the proper thing? How can you improve from that learning experience for the next time? Okay? Think about, for example, maybe next time I'm going to have, I don't know, the map of the place I'm going to be at, and I'm going to have 3 routes from which I can escape, to run to, and I escape. And I'm going to have a place in which I can hide. For example, when you're going to big crowds, to work at big crowds, you should have 3 places where you can run fast and places where you can hide. If a gun shooting starts, or people starts running and jumping one from each other, you should have that plan before and ahead from time, so that you won't be caught up in a situation that is going to put you at risk. Okay, that's just one example. And now we are going to talk about preparing ourselves and making the 5 steps for an emotional safety plan. Okay, if you want to read more about safety plans, physical safety plans, IWMF have some of them put in totemproject.org. I'm going to be writing it afterwards. Okay, I'm going to put you the links both for the guide and the Totem Project workshops, where you can read about how to make a safety plan, how to make a risk assessment and a safety plan, a physical safety plan, an online safety plan, and an emotional safety plan. Okay, but for now, we're going to review the emotional safety plan. When you're going to cover something, the first step for a safety planning, emotional safety planning, is to assess your emotional state at the moment. For example, my team of psychologists, we covered violence, but we also cover natural disasters. Okay, if someone of my team had a recent death in their families, I'm not going to send them to a place when there has been a lot of death, because they're not going to be able to manage it. And you can feel free to talk to your editors, for example, saying, look, my I don't know, a member of my family passed, and I need some time to adjust to this. So don't send me to I don't know, covering a shooting at a school or things like that at this moment. And if that's not a possibility, then prepare yourself. Know that the condition you are at that moment is going to impact you, is going to make that this news, this coverage is going to impact you even more. Have in mind and see how are you going to face it. How are you to, your assignment can move you. Listening to someone, think of the sensations that you're going to face, the smell, the noises, what you're going to see, what you're going to basically sense, smell, hear, and see. Again, I'm going to give an example. The news about the shooter, the 18-year-old shooter that went to an elementary school and shoot kids. I've had many patients, not many, but yes, a few, that had covered that, okay? And they were really impacted by it, really impacted by it. Because obviously, when kids are involved, it's nature's protection to the youngest. Its instinct of protection hits us harder. So think what you're going to see and prepare yourself for that. When there's, for example, a coverage of a plane crashing, what you're going to see, it's really impacting. And the smell of, and I'm sorry to give you this in your mind, but I need to make the example. The smell of burned flesh is very particular, very, very particular, and it's very impacting. We work with one of the airlines of our country in their care team preparation and the care team response, and believe me, it's very, very impacting. Okay, so you have to be prepared. We prepare ourselves for that because we knew what we were going to face. Think of the emotions that this situation might arise, because it is different for everybody. For example, some are more prompt to get angry at certain things. Some are more prompt to get sad at certain things. And here I'm going to say that I know that you've been taught that as journalists, you cannot feel, that you have to swallow it and keep it down. And yes, when you are covering, you have to do that. But that doesn't mean that the emotions are not arising. They are. You're keeping them down, but they are arising. And one of the journalists precisely of this, that covered the school, told me this. I know I shouldn't feel. And I said, wait, you shouldn't feel while you're there, because that puts you at risk, and because you cannot start crying with the people that you're going to interview. If you do, it's not so bad, huh? I have journalists that did, and nothing really happened. But it's not the most professional thing. But once you get home, you become a human being. So give yourselves the time to process the emotions that arise from that coverage. In my case, working with patients is very similar, because I work with patients who had been raped, kidnapped, tortured. And when they are telling me this, of course I feel things. I'm human. And yes, I don't start crying with my patient. But at the end of the day, I go to my shower, and there I start crying, and I start letting it out, and I start trying to make sense of it, trying to understand what happened, why this happened. I even allowed myself fantasies that help me deal with this kind of things. Okay, each one has to find a way to process this kind of emotions. If you don't, they're gonna keep on piling up, and you're becoming a bomb that eventually is gonna explode. If there is a possibility of risk to your integrity, if you say, okay, I'm gonna be covering, I don't know, I'm gonna be interviewing people from the organized crime, there's a risk to your integrity. I'm going to be covering a political issue that is prompt, it's easily can prompt to violence. It's risky, and acknowledge it and make a plan to be safe. For example, if you're going to cover something risky, have someone follow you. Put your find me, your geological location, and have someone following you at that time. Okay, it can be, I don't know, a friend, a co-worker, your editor, I don't know, a family member. Okay, but have someone following you all the time, and contact that person when you get to the zone and when you're out of the zone, for example. Okay, so make a plan for it. It's a human response to a threat, to feel fear. You're gonna feel fear. But if you know what to do, you can focus better, and you already have a plan. That fear is gonna be manageable, and it's not gonna paralyze you. And manage it by having a physical safety plan. Knowing what to do, as I say, where to run, how to minimize the risk is going to help you manage the fear. Also, the safety plan is how are you going to process that afterwards? That's what I was saying before. You need to have something to process this kind of things. And you need something at the end of the day that will disconnect, that will let the emotions out, that will let the process of the thinking work to say, okay, well, they are fighting, it's a war, they are trying to, I don't know, for example, the things that happened in Washington when Biden was taking, was going to be president, okay? All the things, you could have foreseen them, and you could have your safety plan, but you could have also make meaning of them. Why did this happen in my country? I saw a lot of American journalists that were very shaken by this event. They were feeling, especially those African-American heritage, that were feeling that this couldn't be happening again, that this couldn't be something that was happening in their loving country, in the country that they love so much afterwards. So it's gonna impact you. Think of ways you can manage that, and have something at the end of the night that gives you balance. Yes, life can be awful and messy and violent, but life is also beautiful and happy and joyful. So find the balance. And at the end of the session, we're going to make a little exercise to have a little fun and to have that balance today, to put it at work, that balance. The way you can have balance is very simple. Start your day or finish your day singing and dancing one song. It's as easy as that. It's not hard. It's not difficult. Okay? So have one. I stopped sharing because I am now gonna ask everybody if they want to say something, if they want to share stories, if they want to make any comment about what I've said, if they want to make any kind of questions about this. Remember that even though this is being recorded, this part is not going to be presented at any time, okay? Because this is confidential. This is something, it's a safe place for you to share. If you want to share on the chat, let me, okay, here we go. So thank you all. And I don't know if someone from OPC would like to close the session. Patricia, Chad.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. Oh, my dog is climbing on me.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love it.
Chad can close it. We just want to make sure it's on long enough for people to write down your phone number or your WhatsApp number there.
Yes, they already have it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think we can sign off. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for all the participants.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Patricia, for this invitation. Thank you, Chad, for all your help. Yes. See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.